If I told you to beat security breach without ever collecting an item, you might say that's not possible because one of the first things you have to do is collect the fastwatch from Freddy, which is an item. And you need the fastwatch to escape Freddy's room and proceed in the game, rendering this challenge impossible. But there is another way out of Freddy's room, and it only requires this bowling ball. I know it sounds crazy, but this bowling ball allows you to beat the entire game without items. There have already been multiple videos made on this, but they are all only focused on the F ending, even though there's way more that you can do with this clip. So over the last couple of months I've made new routes for all 3 possible endings, optimized them to a ridiculous extent and absolutely shattered the previous world records. Let's first start with the bowling ball clip, which is the exact same for every route, so I won't mention it again. All you basically have to do is push the bowling ball into the right area, jump on it and crouch. But it only works if you have the debug menu installed, which I linked in the description. It has something to do with the physics being different on the old patch and the debug menu bringing back the old physics. But the clip is very inconsistent on its own. So what I always do for Freddy's room is to face the corner between the couch and the wall, sprint and then crouch and swing the camera to the left. This gives a pretty good chance to either clip into the couch, which is a reset, or through the wall, which is what we want. After that we run around these pieces of the wall that are sticking out and get into the back room. For some reason, if you get close to the door from behind and back off again, the door unlocks. I assume this is either a failsafe in case the code breaks, or maybe something to do with the door closing code being weird. Then we push the ball through Freddy's door and leave the room through the vent. Then we go collect the bowling ball, push it right here and clip through this wall. I don't really have a technique for this clip because most of my runs end before I leave Freddy's room, so I just kinda hope that I get pushed through the wall. After we clip through the wall, we just run to the atrium and that's where the individual challenges branch off. The first ending we're going for is the F ending. To do this ending we need to have Freddy and we need the time to be at least 12 AM. That doesn't sound too difficult. After we get into the atrium, we'll make our way to old chips. Here we set our security safe. A weird bug can happen here sometimes where you get sent back to Freddy's room and time gets set to 11 PM after you load the file. You can prevent this by walking into Freddy's door from the outside to force the fastwatch mission to complete, which I guess makes the game believe that you are actually allowed to save and didn't skip getting the fastwatch. Anyway, with our new security safe we make our way into the Superstarcade and into this hiding spot. Here we perform a bug called the hide click. Basically, some hiding spots are close enough to the wall that when you exit them, they'll push you through the wall, putting you out of bounds. The hiding spots that I found to do this are this one in the Superstarcade, this one in the Fastcade, this one in the lobby, and this one in the Vanny ending hallway. This bug only works after the June patch and only with this card hiding spot, so still we did something with these hiding spots that led to this on the last patch. Now that we're out of bounds, we'll make our way around the Superstarcade, being careful not to fall off anywhere, jump into the lobby and immediately run out of bounds not to get trapped in the lobby. Once the game is loaded back in, we'll unload it again by going to this direction, run back in bounds, trigger 12 AM and run back out before the game loads in. And then we just do a void warp to get back into L chips. Going out of L chips fully enables Freddy on the new patch, which means we just have to make our way to the fight and the run is basically complete. So we have to scale this cactus, do some parkour, run all the way around the atrium, climb this cart and unload into the Roxy Raceway sub-lobby, climb this forklift, do some more parkour, unload with these balloons and run into the raceway. From here we can easier unload like this and run directly into the ending, skipping both the parkour and the elevator ride. Then we just have to run after 8 times and the challenge is complete. The old record was around 28 minutes by Spiff and then a 24:26 by J Mercy. I got a 19:32. It took me about 150 attempts spread over 5 days, but it was worth it. And the perfect run is around 16 minutes. But getting good bowling ball clips, no return and not messing up in the run is extremely unlikely, so it will probably take a while before the record is beaten. For the Princess Quest ending we need to beat the 3 Princess Quest games in a row. The first one is in the Glamrock Salon, the second one in the Fastcade and the third one in Vanny's room. After we get into the atrium, we'll immediately unload the game and run to the Roxy Raceway sub-lobby. From here we'll balloon deload and run to the Glamrock Salon. There we can beat Princess Quest 1. To get out of the salon we'll do some complicated parkour, unload the game and run back into the atrium. You can also instead fully enable Freddy without chips and then Freddy warp out, but I picked this trick instead because it's faster than getting Freddy and Freddy warping out if you practice it. But it's also pretty hard to do and can take a while before you get it most of the time. Anyway, from the H room we'll make our way to L chips and hide clip out of bounds again, but this time we'll walk all the way around the price counter until we reach this location. There's an out of bounds hallway here that used to connect the price counter to the Cascade, but it was boarded off before release for some reason. My guess is that they had planned these interconnections between the different areas but scrapped them before release because they ran out of time and this one was already pretty complete. Since the hallway and all the collisions are still there, we can use it to run into the Cascade. Then we make our way to the second Princess Quest machine, and after beating Princess Quest 2 there's only one more machine that remains. To get into Vanny's room quickly from the Cascade, we'll firstly set our security safe here in the security office. Then we run to this hiding spot which we can use to clip out of bounds. Then we'll walk back to the safe and run the Bonnie Ball while staying out of bounds. Bonnie Ball is connected to Vanny's room, and since we're out of bounds we can just walk along the edge of the area, jump in and beat Princess Quest 3 to end the run. The time is 18:34, and this one only took me around 20 attempts. The route is really similar to my out of bounds Princess Quest speedrun, except it uses the bowling ball clip instead of. And it's faster if you move through load times and stuff. The Vanny ending has the easiest conditions of all the endings. You just need to press this button to end the game. That's why New Game Plus is possible, which I'll get to later. After we get into the H room, we'll first jump up the flimsy fence and set our security safe here. Then we'll head to L chips to enable Freddy, go back on the second floor, hop over the railing and unload the game and fall out of bounds. When we walk back to the safe station, we'll immediately walk forward and pause the game while in the air to let the ground collision load in. Once it has loaded in, which you can see by the game lagging a bunch in the pause menu, we can unpause and fall onto this platform. From here we'll walk onto this platform, jump down and land in the Vanny ending area. Then we'll call Freddy and enter him to prevent the game from disabling Freddy, as we'll need him to Freddy warp. So once we're up at the Vanny ending gate, we'll position Freddy here and exit him to here. There is a disable trigger on the stage which you can't hit if you want to continue the run. Then we'll look here and quickly call and immediately enter Freddy to warp behind the gate. This is called a Freddy warp and it exploits Freddy's weird teleporting behavior. I explain it a bit better in my Sprinters video. Anyway, we'll do another Freddy walk to get through Vanny's door and then just press the button to end the run. The time is 8:11. That's less than 10 minutes and it was my first attempt. But it's slower than a speedrun where you can collect items because a lot of the faster tricks require collecting items. New Game Plus is a category extension for the security breach leaderboards where you're allowed to use save file crossover to your advantage. Save file crossover is a bug that lets you use certain things from your last save file in a new one if you haven't saved yet. This includes Gregory's Void Warp location, Freddy's Void Warp location, Princess Quest save data, and the save file you return to when you respawn. Steelwell hasn't done anything to fix this yet, even though you only really need an autosave when you start a new game. Anyway, since the Princess Quest machines can set your security safe, you can immediately warp to Vanny's room where the end game button is waiting to be pressed. The currently fastest speedrun on the leaderboards is around 1 minute and 15 seconds long. With the bowling ball clip I got a 36-second long run. That's less than 1 minute. But sadly the bowling ball clip isn't allowed on the leaderboards for some reason, so my run got rejected. The same thing also happened with my FNaF ending run. I'm still hoping that the bowling ball clip gets allowed on the leaderboards for PC since you can only use it there, but I don't think that will ever happen. The reason why only the F and Princess Quest and Vanny endings are possible is because you need to reach 6 AM using the Roxy upgrade to spawn the triggers, and Roxy's eyes count as an item. And you also need 39 collectibles for the VIP ending, which makes that one impossible for obvious reasons. But on the old patch you can use a Moonchase breach to raid 6 AM without items. But the triggers for the endings aren't there. To do this we'll first need to start a Moonchase. For this one I picked the Daycare Chase because it doesn't require items and is very easy to trigger. Then we have to go to the Roxy Raceway and pick up the head with voice volume off to set the time to 5:15 AM. To do this quickly, I set Freddy's Void Warp location at the head and fell into the void as Freddy in the daycare. After the time has been set to 5:15 AM, we'll just have to enter a recharge station to make the time proceed to the next full hour. In our case that's 6 AM. This isn't possible on the new patch because for one, the daycare chase now insta-kills you if you aren't in Freddy, and two, the voice volume bug with the head has been patched, meaning you can't get to 5 AM anymore without items. The real problem is that if you don't do the Roxy upgrade, the ending triggers aren't there, which means you can't end the game even if you reach 6 AM. I'm sure there are better times possible for all of these speedruns, but since nobody really runs them and you can't submit them to a leaderboard or similar, it doesn't make sense for me to improve. That's also why I haven't improved my 30 list and sprint list times. It's just not as satisfying to beat a PB that nobody really cares about, as opposed to beating someone else's world record. But the bowling ball clip is used for way more challenges than just Itemless, and I've already made a route for one that will probably be my next video. So if you wanna see that, you can subscribe, and I'll see you when I do another challenge.